This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning, Rabbi. We're learning Navi Hoshea Parakeh. We want to do a couple of psukim. So the Navi is telling us that when Yavam ben Avad broke away from Rechavam, part of his program in order to keep the divisiveness was to prevent the Jewish people from being oilei regal. Because if all the Jewish people would unite at the temple, so that would sort of defeat his project of ruling over the 10 tribes in the north. So he set up golden calves in 2 locations, and he forbid the Jews from being oilei regal at the penalty of death. In fact, as we're going to see, one of the criticisms were, Rebbe Shalom says, you went beyond what I did. I told a Jew who's not oilei regal, he just violating an aseh, and you are even stricter than me. Because by you, if they violate your forced aliyah l'regel, they're chayiv misa. Okay. So let's see in Parakeh, and we'll see one of the critical emphasis of this parak is the concept that even though the Jews were forced not to be oilei regal and to serve the golden calves, so you would say the leaders maybe should be held accountable, but not the regular hamoinam. But we're going to see that even though the Hamoinam were forced to serve these golden calves, but since in their heart of hearts they were happy not to have to be oilei regal and they were happy to serve Avodah Zarah, they too were held accountable. Okay. Parak, hey. Shimu zois ha-kohanim. Listen up, kohanim. The hakshivu, Beis Yisrael. And be attentive, house of Israel, ubeis hamelech, and the house of the king, ha'azinu, give ear, ki lachem ha'mishpat, judgment is yours. Why? Ki fach ha'yisem l'mitzvah, you have been a trap at mitzvah, v'reshes perusa al tavar, and your net has been spread out over tavar. So last time,
Mount Tabor, right? It's in the north.
Yeah. So the Malbim that we spoke at last week just mentioned that the order of listening is first Hakshiva from far, then Mazin is a little closer, and then Shomea, which includes not only listening but Havana. Okay. Ki lachem hamishpah, judgment is yours. Ki fach hayisem lemitzvah, you have been a trap at mitzvah. V'reshes prusa al tavar, and your net is scattered at tavar. Fine. The Navi continues. V'shachata seitim hemichu. And the slaughtering of your deviant ones deepened. Va'ani musar lekulam, and I rebuke all of them. So what does this mean? With slaughter, the deviants deepened, and I rebuke all of them. What does that mean with slaughtering? That means, with the threat of death, with the threat of slaughtering, those who deviate, their deviations deepen. Because not only do they force the Jews not to be oilei regal, but it's with the threat of death. Okay, now I want to read to you Gemara in Sanhedrin on Daf Kuf Beis. The Gemara in Sanhedrin says like this, that the shachat haseitim hemiku, with slaughtering the deviants deepen more than who? More than what? What's the intent over here? More than what? So, what is the intent over here? So, let's see if I could find it. The Gemara says like this. B'shachatu seitim hamiku v'ani musukum amar Rabbi Yochanan amar Kadosh Baruch Hu heim hamiku mishali, they deepen their deviance more than me. Ani amarti, I said kol she'enoi oilei l'regel over ba'aseh. Anyone who doesn't do oilei regel is over ba'aseh. Heimamru kol oilei l'regel yedaker b'charav. Whoever doesn't go oilei regel will be pierced by the sword. Okay. Ani yodati Ephraim, I knew Ephraim. V'Yisrael lo nichad mimeni, and Klal Yisrael was not clouded from me. Ki ata his nesa now that you've strayed Ephraim, Nitma Yisrael has been defiled.
Why is Ephraim segregated out of Yisrael? Isn't Ephraim part of Yisrael?
Okay, good. So, what is Ephraim referring to? So the Radak says that why are we singling out Ephraim? The Radak says, Amar Zal Yavam ben Nevat. This refers to Yavam ben Nevat, Shahaya Mishevet Ephraim, Sha'aso Ha'agolim, the Hifrid Yisrael Me'avodah Sakel. Okay? But Rashi says, Ki Ata his Nisa Ephraim, now Ephraim has gone astray. What do you mean now Ephraim has gone astray? What happened now? So Rashi says, Ad Hoshea ben Elah, until Hoshea ben Elah, Hayu Toilin HaKalkala b'Malkehoin. The corruption was blamed on the kings. Until Hoshea ben Elah, this is not the Navi Hoshea, there's somebody else by the name of Hoshea ben Elah. Until him, it was the king's fault. The kings did not allow the Jews to be Ola L'Regel. In the times of Hoshea ben Elah, they were mevatel the centuries from... there used to be, Yavam ben Nevat set up centuries to stop us from being Ola Regal. In times of Hoshea ben Elah, they were nullified. They're nullified. So why aren't the Jews being Ola Regal now? Now the corruption is blamed not only on the king, but on the regular folk as well, because now they have the opportunity to be Ola Regal. Ubata pardesios, v'layolu lefikach galu. Now they're being exiled. Ki ata his nesa Ephraim. Now Ephraim, now not just the Malachim, but the people of Ephraim. Ephraim is also a reference to the 10 tribes that are often called Ephraim as opposed to Yehuda. Ve'en lahem litla b'melech. They can't blame it on the king anymore. Kein lamadati b'seder olam. Okay, pasuk daled. La yitnu ma'alaleim. They do not forsake, Rashi translates, their actions. Lashuv el Elohim, to be able to return to their God. Kiruach zanunim b'kirbam. There's a spirit of straying within them. V'yas Hashem lo yado, and they do not know Hashem. Rashi translates lo yitnu ma'alaleim means lo yazvu darkam. They did not forsake. Hara kamay nasan reichai. Oh, this is a good pasuk. In other words, what does it mean lo yitnu ma'alaleim? Literally, their actions don't give them. That's why the Radak translates it.
Ma'alaleim is actions?
Yeah. Ma'alaleim is actions. So the simple meaning, I would have read the pasuk, La yitnu ma'alaleim, their actions don't give them lashav el Elokeim to return to God, meaning their actions don't allow them to return to God. They're so steeped in their actions, they're so immersed in their behavior. Sometimes a person might have a good desire and the will to return to Hashem, but they're so steeped in their bad actions that they can't pull out. But Rashi learns lo yitnu means they can't stop, they can't forsake their actions. And one of the proofs that Rashi cites is the pasuk in Shiur Shirim. In Shiur Shirim it says, Ad shehamelech b'mesibai, nirdi nasan reichai. While the king was at his party, nirdi nasan reichai, their odor did not cease. What does that refer to? Ad shehamelech b'mesibai. While the king was at the party, that refers to the giving of the Torah. Nirdi nasan reichai. Their odor did not stop. Refers to the Chera Egal. What day of the year was the Chera Egal? Shiva Asar B'Tammuz. The Rashi Tevos of Ad Shehamelech B'Mesibai is Esav is Shiva Asar B'Tammuz. Okay. Says the pasuk, Va'ana Ga'oin Yisrael B'Fanav. Va'ana Ga'oin Yisrael B'Fanav. And the pride of Klal Yisrael will be humbled. Rashi says, V'yimach Yikar Yisrael. Kamoi la'anois mi panai, lashon oni v'hachna, language of humbling. The Klal Yisrael will be humbled. The Yisrael ve'Ephraim yikashlu ba'avoinam. What does it mean, bifanav? What does it mean they will be humbled, bifanav? The Targum translates, V'ana ga'in Yisrael v'yimach yikar Yisrael v'inun chazan. A language of testimony. If you look in the Radak says, its pride will testify Okay. Ephraim will stumble in their sin. Kashal gam Yehuda imam. Yehuda will stumble with them as well.
This phrase, Ephraim Yichrichovam, also appears in Torah, Shabbat.
Oh yeah? Okay, shkayach. So, let's see one more pasuk. It's a very interesting pasuk. B'tzainam uvivkaram yelchu levakesh es Hashem. With their sheep and their cattle, they go to seek out Hashem. V'lo yimtzao. They will not find Him. Chalatz mehem. He withdrew from them. So wait a second. What do you mean they'll go seek out God with sheep and cattle? I thought we're talking about the times of Yavam and the times of the straying of the Malchei Yehuda. When will they go seek out Hashem? So the Radak says, B'tzainam of Karam Yelchu, Shevet Yehuda Yeshuv L'Avodas HaKal Yisparach. Shevet Yehuda will return to the service of God. B'tzainam Karam, when? In the times of Yoshiyahu. Yoshiyahu HaMelech abolished all the idolatry. And they're going to return to serve Hashem with the Karam Pesach. To the point where the Navi says that never was a Karam Pesach brought like it was brought in the times of Yoshiyahu. But they will not find Hashem. Meaning, God already made a decree that the temple would ultimately be destroyed. Because chalatz mehem, He had withdrew from them. This is a very interesting lashon. Chalatz mehem, He withdrew from them. It's a lashon of chalitza. Chalitza? What does that mean? So there's a incredible Gemara Masechta Yevamos, a conversation between a min and I believe Ram Gamliel, where the min says to Ram Gamliel, you know what you people are like? You people are like a Yavama that the Yavam did chalitza to. And if Yavam does chalitza to Yavama, the relationship has been severed and terminated. So the min quoted this pasuk. Listen to this conversation. Amar leha hu min Ram Gamliel. Ama de chalatz le mare minei. You are a nation that their God did chalitza to. Dechsiv b'tzainam uvivkaram yelchu. They will take their sheep and cattle, and they will go levakesh es Hashem v'lo yimtzo. Chalatz mehem. He withdrew from them. That implies that God gave us chalitza. God is the Yavam, and we are the Yavama. God is the Chasan, we're the Kala, and God severed His relationship. After all, that's what the Navi Hoshea says. Amar le shaita. You know what a shaita is? Don't answer that.
Wait, aren't we B'nai Yisrael? We're not the Chasan and Kala. We're Hashem's children.
Well, there are many analogies in Tanakh. Shir Hashirim, the analogy is Doidi, Verei, Chasan and Kala. So Ram Gamliel says, you shaita miksiv chalatz lahem. The Navi doesn't say that he gave us chalitza. Chalatz mehem ksiv. God got chalitza from us. We gave Him chalitza. So 1 second. Could a Yavama give a Yavam chalitza? There's no such thing. What would happen if a Yavama gave a Yavam chalitza? Nothing. It's like a woman divorcing her husband. In halacha, there's no such concept. V'ilu Yavama dechol achen midi mishasha isbei. A Yavama that gave chalitza to the brothers. Does it have any meaning? so too God never terminated his relationship with him. We terminate our relationship with God, but we're still bound to him. Our relationship has not been severed whatsoever. So to me, it's quite an interesting concept to think of our relationship with God as a Yavam and a Yavama. In what way is God a Yavam? Hashem chas v'shalom, a Yavam is someone who died without children.
Right. And it's almost like an afterthought. It's not a first, marriage between a man and a woman who love each other. It's a kind of a forced relationship.
So the Marsha says, what are we like in the Galas? Eicha yashva vadai Yerozim hayisa Ki almana. We're like an almana. So like an almana. So an almana is someone who's a shomeres yavam. She's waiting for a yavam.
But almana,
that's only if she doesn't have children.
No, but an almana is someone who lost her spouse that she married voluntarily.
We did. We lost. We're haysa ka'almana.
Almana is the forced relationship.
No, so an almana is someone who her husband is deceased and she's waiting for someone to rebuild her life. The Marsha says, "V'shemeres yavam lizakek v'hamin hazeh dimas Yisrael l'shar shemeres yavam." She's a kukaloi. V'achar shalei rotza bam liyabim chalatz lahayavam. Vein is a kukaloi. V'adarabba she asuraloi. Now, once you do chalitza, not only is your relationship terminated, you're now at a live. The chalutz can now never live with the Yavam again. So the min is saying to Klal Yisrael, not only had God severed it, but He can't ever reunite with you. Adarab she asuraloi the kimish leibana shavla yivna. Uchvar hechalaf eschem b'macheres v'lo yivan yirsham b'samigdash v'heshiv gamliel miksev chalatz lahem they have a mashma kain. It doesn't say He gave us chalitza. Avahem kishemeres yavam shechalatz mehem. Shehi knesset Eloi hosa chafatza boy. We didn't want him. Umar de b'yavam the avadei adayin zekukaloi. O shetashav livnois himenu. And when she returns to be built from him, gamhu yashvei lev lo yachlotz lo shekvar nishba liyas l'chalei loikim. God already swore to us. It's a very interesting concept to compare the relationship between Knesset Yisrael and Klal Yisrael as the relationship of Yavam and Yavama. Okay, Rabbi Sai, have a great day. Shkayach.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.